Armchair Author Chats. I'm your host, Rita Slanina, and today we have the beautiful, the lovely Sarah C. Brody, author of the series that you guys, if you've been sleeping on this, it is the Stella Kendrick series. It is amazing. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. Sarah C. Brody writes paranormal romance and urban fantasy featuring strong but flawed heroines and the alpha males who can't live without them. When she's not drafting stories filled with magic, romance, and plot twists, she's knitting or baking while she's dreaming them up. Let's bring Miss Sarah on now. Hello! How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for coming.
I'm so excited to do this.
I've been wanting you on for a while. Blair, get that girl over here. So, welcome to the show. Let's start with not your latest book, but definitely one of your most popular books. And that is the Stella Kendrick series, book one of Malice and Magic. How would you pitch it in one sentence?
It is about a middle-aged heroine who is trying to navigate her new, crazy, chaotic life in the supernatural world and the relationships that she develops along the way. And it is filled with werewolves and fae and vampires and all that fun stuff.
Ooh, I love it. Love it. What was the spark that set this book series in motion, most specifically book one?
So, the backdrop of this story, of the series and the story world, is trafficking. There is a subplot that follows a supernatural trafficking ring throughout the series. And I got the idea from it from a woman I worked with a long time ago. We bartended together, and she got in a bad way and got mixed up with the wrong people and ended up being in this situation. And thankfully, her family got her back. But it has always haunted me, and it has always bothered me that we don't shine a bigger light on the trafficking epidemic in this country and in the world. And so while that is happening in the background of my story, and it kind of pops up in some of the books, it's not the main focus, but I want it there. So it's kind of in people's minds that this is happening to people you know. This is happening to your neighbors. This is happening in the United States and all across the world.
Wow,
And
what
I
an
just feel
amazing
like,
driving force. Like, that
yeah,
is amazing. And I love how you interweave that into the story and it really does. It's almost like an historical fiction, when they're writing fiction, but they're definitely giving you plot points that are accurate.
mhm.
It's just like that because it is accurate, it is happening, and I love that you're shining a light on that through your stories.
Thank you.
So, your characters feel so real. Do you base them on people you know, or do you take on a life of their own as you write?
So honestly, Stella is a little bit me. Um, One of the pieces of advice that I got when I first started writing this and wanted to actually publish this and be very serious about my writing was, if you get lost, ground the series in things that you know, yourself, people you know, things you know about. And I was having a very hard time with my main character. So I added bits and pieces of my personality. And in some ways, she's very much with me. And in other ways, she is completely different. But it really helped me define who she was. And then I was able to write the first book. As far as the love interest, no, he's completely made up. Everybody's like, did you base him on your husband? And I'm like, they do share a couple personality traits, but they are very different people. And then some of the side characters, I used quirks and habits of people that I've known my whole life, but I didn't really base any one character on an actual individual, but there are little bits and pieces of people.
I love that. It's sneaky. And I love that. That's a great tip for aspiring writers as well. If you're feeling stuck, just look
Yeah.
inward. Look
Yeah,
inward.
exactly. Write what you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So writing can be a wild process. Do you have any quirky habits, routines, or must-have rituals when working on a book?
Um, yeah, a little bit of all of that. As far as quirky habits, I am what you would call a verbal thinker. So I often talk to my characters and talk my way through scenes that I'm having trouble with. You too? Yeah. And as far as routines, I get up early, as do you. Um, so I yeah, I work out first thing. That's my
Yep.
goal. These are my two non-negotiables are getting exercise every morning
Yep.
and writing.
Yep.
So I eat the frog with the exercise, if you're familiar with that saying,
Yep.
and then my brain is firing. I'm woken up and I'm ready to write. And as far as rituals, I listen to the same kind of music when I write, and that's normally 90s alternative, grunge, and coffee. I cannot write in the mornings without coffee. It's just not going to
Yes.
happen.
Take the coffee and see what happens.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Wouldn't do it. Don't test her.
No, don't. Bad things
So,
happen when I don't get my coffee first.
agreed. Like,
Right?
like the audacity. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So publishing can be a roller coaster. What's been your biggest wow or what just happened moment in your journey so far?
The biggest wow was hitting publish on the first book. When I uploaded it to the vendors, it was terrifying, and I never thought I would get there. That was the biggest wow. Getting great feedback is always a good wow too. And I've been lucky that I've gotten some really good feedback on this book from
You are
other
a beautiful
writers.
writer.
Thank you very much, Rita. So that's the biggest wow. The most challenging thing is I struggle between outlining and pantsing. And sometimes I have to outline the entire story just so I have a map of where I want to end up and a route to get there. But then I take side trips. So my route ends up being completely different. So I have to do a lot of rewriting. And that's okay. I'm trying to streamline the process. But I think that, one thing about writers is we may perfect our process, but we're never going to perfect our craft.
Right.
So, I mean, you're never going to write a perfect book. You might have
Yeah,
a
it
perfect
just you're just gonna
picture.
keep
Yeah.
evolving and find that you're gonna get better and better and better with each
Yes,
time, and that's just
exactly.
how it goes. I mean, it's just
So,
how it works. And I love that is also that's another great tip too. Don't get hung up on like if you're a pantser or a plotter and you storyline or you don't, it's okay and it may change.
right.
And be
Yes.
amenable. Be amenable because I
Yes.
know for me, like if I'm outlining, I feel like I already wrote it. So I'll
Right.
shelve it and go,
Yeah. And that's part of it for me too, is I'm like, oh, I already did this. But also, I think that sometimes you have to fail, or not fail necessarily, but go the wrong way to know you're going the wrong way. And it's
absolutely.
okay to come back and take another path.
Take the journey.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love
It's
it.
all about the journey, not the destination. I mean, the
Amen.
destination is very important. Don't get me wrong, but the journey, that's where you learn everything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
Invaluable.
yeah, and part of the spice of life is keep your brain active, learn new things.
I love it. I love it. All about the learning. All about it. So every writer has those stuck moments. How do you get past writer's block or creative slumps? If you don't get writer's block, maybe a creator's slump.
Yeah, for me, I don't really like to call it writer's block. It just that's I'm very high positivity if you know anything about Becca Simon's strengths. It's my number 2 strength. So so I like to think of
Resonates.
yeah, I like to think of those times as, let's call it the marinating process because I'm a foodie. So all things come back to food for me and for Stella Kendrick. She's a big foodie too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so just think that's part of the process. Sometimes your ideas need more time to grow. If you're a gardener, you got to plant the seed and give it time to bloom. When those times happen, I try to do something writing related every day, even when I'm going through one of those times, even if it's just opening up the manuscript and staring at it, or going through my notes or my character sheets or whatever. And then I consume other forms of media. I
Yeah.
will watch shows, I will watch movies, I'll listen to podcasts, I will read other books, and all of that. And sometimes you get the spark you need from the most
Just,
random places. Like I was watching, I want to say it was Scandal. Remember that
oh
show that we
my
were
gosh,
all addicted
yes.
to?
Oh,
Yes. I was watching
so good.
that, and one of the characters had an oxblood leather purse.
Oh.
And that color, and it was the color that sparked me to write a scene in book 3 where the main character's mate gives her an oxblood leather jacket, and it turned into one of the most popular scenes in the book. And the
Ah,
two things had nothing to do with each other, but so
right.
you never know where you're going to find inspiration or that spark that will get you writing again.
Oh, that's great advice. I love that. So let's dream big. If Of Malice and Magic were turned into a movie or TV show, oh, this is a good segue. Who would you cast in the lead?
So in my mind, Stella Kendrick would be played by Tiffany Thiessen.
Ooh.
She was Kelly Kapowski on Saved by the Bell, but she
Yes!
also was
I see her. Yes!
on White Collar. Have you ever seen that show?
I haven't seen that one.
That's such a good show. She played the federal agent's wife, and it's about like that period of time where I see her. Now,
Yeah.
the thing with me and like casting the movies is they never really match up perfectly,
Right.
right? It's just kind of like an avatar.
Right.
So
Yeah. Like
yeah,
an idea of a person we might get.
yes,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
And then I won't do the love interest because if you haven't read the series, you don't know who she ends up with until the end of book 1. So we'll do her best friend, who is Jason.
Perfect.
And he, in my mind, is Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I do too. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
one
Kind of
time.
like, did you ever watch The Good Wife?
Oh my
With
gosh, I just started that one. I
Okay, he's in
hadn't
the last
watched it,
season.
but I'm starting from one.
It is a fabulous series, and he is in the last season. And it's kind of a mashup between his character in that show and Negan on The Walking Dead. So, yeah. But all the good parts, not the bad parts of Negan, the good parts.
No. So guys, you hear this. We're not going to know who she's ending up with, so we don't get any teasers of who either looks like.
Nope. No teasers.
Stinkers. But good news.
With the love interest, I kind of like to keep it vague
Yeah.
because, you want the readers to imagine their most awesome epic males if
Yeah.
they're if that's their cup of tea. So I always kind of like to keep that vague, like when I'm talking about who I see
Yeah.
as that person, because I don't want to that's the most fun part is the love interest, I think.
Yeah,
So
and imagining it while you're reading it is also one of the most fun parts of reading, right? If
yeah,
everything's told to us,
exactly.
we're kind of like, man, well, I pictured that
Exactly.
differently. It's like
Yeah.
when we were in high school and MTV was like the big thing, and you heard the song on the radio, and you're just like, in my head, I used to think like, oh, that video is so cool. I would do this. I imagine in my head what a music
Yes,
video would be, and then you watch it and you're going,
and the video's horrible.
that is
Yeah,
what
I remember.
I like to see that storyboard because,
Right?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Great picks. Great picks on actors.
Thank you.
Books have the power to change us. What's one book beside your own that has deeply impacted you?
So I'm going to go way, way back to the very beginning when I was just learning how to read, and my mom was reading these books to me, and they were among the first books that I read when I was able to read chapter books on my own. And it
Wow.
is the Wizard of Oz, the series of books that L. Frank Baum wrote about those characters. Those were the books that made me fall in love with fantasy, and that made me decide when I was like 5 years old that I was going to be a writer.
Oh, oh my gosh. I love it. I love The Wizard of Oz too.
I do too.
Oh, what's one piece of advice you'd give to aspiring writers who hope to follow in your footsteps?
Just write. You don't need fancy software. You don't need the most expensive, beautiful notebooks. You just need
Or
a word
washi.
processing program or a piece of paper and a pen. Yeah, or washi. And just get those words out, because as I think it was Jodi Picoult says, you can't edit a blank page.
Oh, that
So
is prolific. I love that.
so just get those words out.
We got to put those on our sprint screens when we're sprinting, like quotes
Yes.
like
Oh,
that.
that's
That is a
such a good
great
idea.
quote.
Oh,
Yeah,
we should do
take it.
that. Yeah.
Yes, do it.
Yes,
We
you
both
too.
do it. I love that. That is prolific. I love that. You can't edit a blank page. It's
Yeah,
so
you can.
obvious and so like what? Like so if you could have a dinner party with three literary characters, yours or someone else's, who would you invite and why?
Okay, so I think that as much as I love my own characters, I know them well, right?
Yeah.
So I think I would pick three of the heroines from three of my favorite series, and that would be Mercy from the Mercy Thompson series by Patricia Briggs, um, Jinx from the Other Realm series by Heather G. Harris. And the other one just flew right out of my brain. I wrote it down. Hang on. Let
Okay.
me cheat and look at my notes. Oh, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it... Oh my gosh. Jessie from the Leveling Up series by KF Green. I can't believe I forgot that one.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun dinner. Actually. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. What's next for you? Can you give us a sneak peek to any exciting projects or stories in the works?
Yeah, sure. So I am currently working on two things. Book 4 in the Stella Kendrick series, which has been very challenging to write because it covers some like it's the middle of the series. So it covers a lot of hard stuff
Mm-hmm.
and things happen that we don't want to happen, but they happen. So I'm struggling with that a little. But I'm also in the planning stages of a serial project. Uh, and it's a mashup of I'm calling it Desperate Witches in the City. It's a mashup of Desperate Housewives and Sex in the City with witches.
I'm so in. I obsessed over both of those shows.
I know, me too.
I am so
So,
on those.
yeah, so I'm thinking serializing it.
I love
So
this.
I'm hoping to get all the planning done before the end of the month, and I'm very close, and then start writing it next quarter, and then start releasing it somewhere. I'm not sure where yet. In Q3 or Q4 of this year.
Oh,
So be
keep
on
your
the
eyes
lookout.
out.
Oh, and it takes place in the Stella Kendrick series universe, so there will be crossovers.
Oh my gosh. Brilliant. Oh, that is brilliant. Oh my goodness. Girl, you are a genius. Mm.
Oh, I'm trying, but I don't know about
You,
all that.
well, you are a genius. I bow. Like that is. I would not have thought to do that. I think that's awesome. It's
Thank you.
like
I'm
cross
excited about
promoting,
it.
but like that's a whole other topic we could probably get lost on for like 2 hours.
Right?
Easy.
The thing I'm most excited about is rewatching both series again, because I did a rewatch of Sex and the City last summer, and then I did a rewatch of Desperate Housewives late last year, but now I get to do it again and like really deconstruct the episodes and the arcs and all of that stuff. So I'm
Oh,
really excited about that.
oh gosh. And if Hubs is like, "Are you still sitting here?" You can say, "It's research."
It's research. Yep.
Sorry, love. This is
Gotta
what it
do
looks
that
like.
research.
I love that writers can use a lot of different things and mediums for research.
I know. Me too.
Don't limit yourself, friends. Don't limit yourself. So I have a few bonus questions that are a little bit fun before I let you
Okay.
go. You're so lovely. I don't want to let you leave yet.
Oh,
If
this is so much fun.
what? Oh yeah.
This is so much fun.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. I adore you. So if you had to describe your writing style in 3 words, what would they be?
Um, I would say fast-paced, dark and twisty.
Ooh,
Ooh,
great.
yeah.
Writing fuel, which we may already know this answer. Coffee, tea, or something stronger?
Oh, all of the above and water. Gotta have that
That's
water.
It's my kind of
Um,
girl.
yeah, it's coffee in the morning and then tea in the afternoon and then, a shot of something, something when I'm done. And I'm
Right.
like,
It's in
oh
the
gosh, I
bottom
need
drawer
something.
underneath. I don't know if there's this new show that came out called Running Point. It's amazing.
I haven't
And
seen it yet.
it's hilarious. It's a tad on the raunchy side. So for our viewers who don't prefer that, here's your warning. Foul language and things like that. But there's a drawer underneath for like the secret stash of whatnot.
Oh yeah,
I'll
I
put
need to
it
watch
there.
this
It's in
show.
the first episode, I think, or the second. So I've just started watching it. It's hilarious. So just
Sounds
reminded me.
like my kind of show.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time, Sarah. Thank you. Would you like to leave our audience with the details on how they can buy your books and find out more about you?
Yeah, sure. So I gave you my link tree that I
Yep.
think you're going to put in the description of the video, and you can
Yes,
find
ma'am.
all of my stuff there. All my social media, my links to buy my books that are out, and links to my website, my newsletter sign up, all of that is in my link tree.
Perfect. Perfect. And that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
This is so much fun. I gotta have you back when 4 comes out for sure.
Yes, I would love that.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
For more information, links will be in the description below and also in the show notes podcast. If you like this interview, please like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to share the video.